increase the debt. So.
Okay, sorry, you're over a minute, so we're gonna have to go to Ben.
I actually agree with the single-payer healthcare plan for the strict reason that I refuse to let these big corporations and these rich people get richer off our people dying. There are people dying because they cannot afford their medicine, they cannot afford what they need to live, and these people just continue to get richer and richer off that. And I believe that we should extend it to more people with a single-payer healthcare.
Cameron, do you have anything to say, Brandon, about your?
Well, I just think that healthcare should not be open to the profit motive. Ben was totally right in saying that millions can't afford healthcare and they're dying because of it. The fact that Brandon said that our healthcare is better than other nations isn't true. We can do better than it already is. That's all I have to say.
Okay.
Humans respond to incentive, and if there's no, and as much as you would like to not believe that money is one of the biggest incentives, and if there is a money incentive, hospitals are going to try and increase their quality of care, so in consequence, you're going to receive better care. So.
Can I respond to that real quick?
No, I'm sorry. So we're gonna have to move on. My question is first for Brandon. So this has to do with abortion and Planned Parenthood. So would you plan to continue funding or defund Planned Parenthood, and explain your stance on that?
Planned Parenthood is something that the government should not be funding at the moment, and I think that abortion should not be legal, except, there are cases, the mother is, endangered, there's, there's rape, there's assault, obviously there are certain cases where, it really should be happening. However, it is a life. That should not be taken for granted. So.
Okay, do you have anything to say about Planned Parenthood and the funding of it?
The funding? I think I
Mhm.
answered that when I said the government should be illegal, so
Okay.
you're not going to fund nothing, right?
I completely disagree with everything that Brandon just said. I believe in the funding of Planned Parenthood, and I believe in the pro-choice stance. I believe in the independent woman. Basically, you know what? I believe that the woman should be able to do whatever she wants with her body, especially in cases of rape. But yeah, I would continue funding Planned Parenthood, as I believe it is beneficial for the young women of our nation.
Okay, Cameron?
Well, the government has absolutely no position to tell a woman what she can or can't do with her body. Planned Parenthood, 3% of the functions that it does or performs is abortion. About a third of it is towards contraception and preventing unplanned pregnancies, and another third of it is women's health. So even if you're against abortion, I have no idea why you would defund the institute. It doesn't make sense. And that's all I have to say about that.
Okay, does anyone want to rebuttal for 30 seconds? Okay, next question.
This next question has to do with the massive incarceration rate of the U.S. and whether drugs are legalized or not. The U.S. has by far the largest incarceration rate of all the developed nations today, and those incarcerated are almost predominantly for non-violent drug-related crimes. How do you plan to solve this problem, and does it involve the legalization of marijuana?
Who's first?
Cameron. Benjamin. Benjamin.
Benjamin?
Yes. 1 minute.
This is a tough question because the legalization of marijuana, we don't really know how it's going to affect our nation. Part of me does want to say that I do want it legalized, as you are right with the incarceration rate is absolutely through the roof. We're running out of room to put these people. We need to open it up, but I don't know how the legalization of marijuana is going to affect the safety on the road, and plenty of different aspects. So I don't know about the legalization of marijuana, but let's legalize it. You know what? I'm with it. I pro marijuana.
He just made the decision right now.
Okay, Cameron, 1 minute.
Well, I don't think Ben has thought about this very much, but as you can clearly see, we definitely need, I don't know if we're going to legalize it yet, but we need to move towards that. It should not be a Schedule I drug like it is right now. it's not super dangerous. Everyone knows it's less dangerous than alcohol. In fact, there are more people in prison for marijuana possession than all violent crimes combined. That's absolutely ridiculous. We're wasting so much money on incarcerating people that are really not super harmful to society. We need to close private prisons. There's no reason that prisons should be open to the profit motive. We need to work more like other Western nations and decriminalize other drugs and make it just so that it is a fine and you're not in prison for just possessing. And that'll decrowd our prisons, make our prison system work more efficiently, and we can put money towards something else
Okay,
that is
Brandon?
more valuable.
Brandon?
I agree with Cameron's comment on moving towards decriminalizing all drugs. Actually, is a perfect example. In Portugal, their HIV rate was through the roof. They knew they had to do something about it, so they decriminalized all drugs and instead put in place programs that could provide clean needles, clean ways to use drugs, and it drastically lowered the HIV rate. But people expected there to be a rise in crime. They weren't really worried about that. They were more focused on the HIV part. However, there was next to no increase in the crime rate in Portugal, and I think that if we move toward that here, there would be much less people incarcerated because the rates through the roof. There would be less crime because a lot of the crime is due to drugs, and because it's illegal, they have to have cartels and all this other stuff that causes much violence, and more people are incarcerated, causing more money to go to the prisons. So I think moving towards decriminalizing all drugs is the way to go.
Thank you very
Okay,
much.
and the next question is about the federal deficit budget, or federal deficits, I'm sorry. It's according to the FY17 federal budget, the U.S. federal government debt is estimated to be 19.4 trillion and is expected to reach over 22 trillion in 2020. What are some preventive measures you plan on taking to prevent a federal deficit from increasing?
Cameron?
Cameron.
Well, no one wants to pay taxes, but we're gonna have to raise taxes by 2.4% across the board in order to pay for things like single-payer healthcare. We can't afford to downsize our military right now. There's too many foreign threats like Russia, North Korea, the crisis in Syria. What else? We're gonna close the loopholes on corporations so that they pay their fair share in taxes. They shouldn't be treated as individuals. They're a business. They should be treated as such. My budget plan will not raise the deficit. We will get many new services like single-payer healthcare for every American citizen, regardless of your wages. And that's all I have.
Okay, and then Brandon.
Socialized healthcare, which Cameron advocates for. Single-payer healthcare, which Cameron advocates for, is going to obviously increase the federal deficit, and like he said, so he's going to have to raise taxes, and I guess you want that. Also, my plan would be it's a combination of a fair tax and a graduated income tax. The graduated income tax would, it'd be bracketed, first bracket under 80,000, second under 140, and then above that is the last bracket, and then it would be a combination of a fair tax, which is a tax on non-essential goods. So people, everyone, even people that are, illegally, under the table, they would have to be paying a tax because of the fair tax. It would lead to less anger over the tax because, everyone's paying that, and in consequence, it would decrease the federal deficit. So.
Thank you very much, Ben.
I agree with Cameron in the sense that we need to close loopholes for big businesses and treat businesses as businesses and not people. I like that you said that. But I feel like my two candidates here are looking at small policy changes that aren't really going to affect the big picture. What we really need to do in order to get rid of the debt is take back our economy and our money into our own hands and stop letting the bankers own us. We need to abolish the Federal Reserve, and we need to abolish the Federal Reserve, and we need to use our constitutional right to print U.S. Treasury notes and slowly issue them out to the banks to replace them to the people. Because right now, 12 shareholders, the Lehman Brothers, J.P. Morgan, they're counting in trillions of dollars every single year as our debt plummets deeper and deeper. So what do we need to do? We need to rewrite the economy of America to fix it.
Brendan, 30-second rebuttal.
First of all, Ben's plan is absolutely ridiculous. He's talking about abolishing the national bank and printing more money, which would obviously result in inflation. That's absolutely ridiculous. He has no idea of how the economy works. Brandon is making a big deal out of a 2.4% tax raise. So what? You're not paying for insurance. The money you're paying for insurance is just going towards taxes now. You're not paying any more money than you were before.
Okay, thank
The
you.
top,
We're gonna have to
the
move on,
wealthy
I'm
elites
sorry.
are going to be the ones paying.
Sorry. Brandon?
That's crazy. I
Brandon,
don't know what to
there's
say. This guy's just
nothing?
insane, honestly. I don't know.
Brandon's
Okay.
also insane. Brandon,
Ben?
don't act like you're any.
I'm not insane because that wouldn't cause inflation because we'd be printing it backed on oil, gold, and silver, which we have a national reserve of. We'd be printing the money on something that's backed instead
used to
of
work.
what credit right now, which is the Federal Reserve.
It's not
Okay,
always
I'm
funny.
sorry. We're gonna have to stop and move on to the next
on,
question.
I-
Top hat.
So,
Thank you. You're very observative.
the U.S. follows Common Core standards. Some argue that these standards are not up to par or that they're too rigorous. What is your stance on Common Core, and what's your plan for education anywhere between elementary to college? 1 minute.
Who's first?
Brendan, I believe.
Common Core, honestly, to me, seems pretty useless. I think that they're trying to do too much, and it's not. It's kind of just. What's the word? It just seems like they're trying too hard to catch up with other people. When in reality, I think that if someone's going to receive higher education, they're going to strive for that, and they're going to want to succeed. And our higher education is way up to par. So I think that elementary through high school, increasing Common Core, and spending money on programs teaching teachers how to implement Common Core is just way too much work to